everybody! Welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. Today we're going to talk about casting off Knitwise. So if you've got to the end of your project and you're still a little unclear about how to cast off Knitwise, then this video is for you. So if you're brand new to knitting or you did it a while ago and you need a refresher, then keep watching, grab your needles, and if you've got your project handy, let's head to the craft table and cast off. Once you're done, you're ready to cast off. And this is how we cast off Knitwise. Put your work in your non-dominant hand, in my case it's my left. Take your other knitting needle and knit the first stitch. Now you're going to knit the next stitch. You should have 2 new knit stitches on your second, second needle, and this is how we cast off. Try and keep your work, if you have to shove it down your first needle just to keep control of it, you can do that. You're going to take the first stitch you knit, so the one that's not nearest the end, so this one here. You're going to hang on to your working yarn, so keep a little tension there, not too much. Bring your work close to the end, grab your yarn, and pull that first stitch over top of the second stitch and right off your needle. So now you've gone down to 1 knit stitch on your second needle. So let's do that again. We're going to knit the next stitch, just like you would if you were knitting another row. So knit it, make sure you pass it to your second needle. Shove your work down on your first needle so it's out of the way. And then bring the two loops you've got on your second needle close to the end. Keep some sort of tension on that string. Grab that second needle, or I'm sorry, your second loop, the first loop on your needle, and pull it up and over the second loop. It's a little tricky, so just take your time, pull it right off and over, and you've now cast off 2. So let's do that one more time. We're going to knit the next stitch. Pull everything on your first needle back and out of the way. Bring those 2 knit stitches close to the end of your needle. Keep some tension on that yarn, not too much. You don't really want to make this tight, but like I said, this is a beginner sampler, so you don't have to worry about it being perfect. Grab that first stitch, pick it up, and pass it over top of the second stitch and right off your needle. And this is what you've got. So there's the edge of your little sampler. And you can see that we are now creating stitches cast off across the top. So let's do another one together here. Going to knit the next stitch, all nice and normal. Get those other ones out of the way, so sort of squish them back on needle number 1 and forget about them. Grab the first knit stitch, bring it close to the edge, pass it over top of the second knit stitch right off your needle, and that's what it looks like running across the top. So that's your cast off stitches. We'll do another one here. Knit the next stitch. Get those needles, sort of get that stuff out of the way so you can just focus on the 2 knit stitches that you're casting off. Pull the first one over top of the second one. Be careful not to let it fall off the edge of your needle, and you're left with 1. Knit the next stitch. If you find it helps to pick up that second, or I should say the first stitch with your needle and pull it up and over top of the first stitch, you can do that too, but that might be a little bit tricky. It is something you can keep in mind though when you get more comfortable with this particular procedure. So knit the next stitch, get your stitches out of the way, pull the first knit stitch over the second knit stitch and right off your needle. And you just continue that all the way to the end of your last row. When you get to the very last stitch, knit that last stitch as normal. And this is sort of a little easier. You can get that first needle out of the way now. Same thing, you want to keep some control, some tension on that string. Pass the first stitch over the last stitch and off. And that leaves you with one loop left on your needle. And if you're a crocheter, you'll know this looks pretty familiar. You can just pull up on your loop so that you have a little bit of free space there. Snip your yarn. You don't need very much tail. And then you take that yarn and you pass it back through that loop, so backwards, so that you can create a knot. And there you go. Now, if your cast off row is a little on the tight side, don't panic, because that's very, very common when you're first getting used to knitting. It takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of practice until your tension evens itself out. And then fairly soon you'll have something that's nice and loose and fairly even looking. Just keep practicing until you do. And that was casting off Knitwise. If you found this video helpful, please make sure you tap that like button down below and tune in again soon for more knitting or crochet on the Jayda InStitches show. Thanks everybody, bye!